Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
Really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
Episode number 61. I am meteorologist Marcus Bailey here with Wish TV in Indianapolis. Good to be with you. Last week of March, man, we're flying by, right? Not feeling like it, obviously. And boy, don't I know it. It is good to be back. Had a week off. I know we did a replay last week, but had a good, relaxing week off with some family. Down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, it is spring break time. So wanted to get away, get to the beach a little bit. Boy, that was nice. This is our second year in a row going down to the Gulf Shores area. We really like it. Actually, you could probably consider this more Fort Morgan area than Gulf Shores if you're familiar with that vacation spot. Did an Airbnb for the first time. So it was a nice beach house, kind of a residential area, not far away from the actual fort itself. So it was kind of a little off the beaten path away from the main drag. It took us about 20 minutes to get into Gulf Shores. But it was perfect. The beach that we were at was pretty quiet. I mean, there were people. There were many of the houses that were rented out, but not as busy as what we had last year when we were kind of at one of the, on the main drag there and surrounded by a lot of the big condos and the hotels. So it was good to have a little bit of privacy, a little bit of own space. We went down with my sister's family, her husband, and her 5 kids. We brought our mom as well. So we had a packed house, but it was good to kind of be able to spread out a little bit on the beach. What was pretty unique for me, and I've been to the beach several times, especially I'd say to the Gulf of Mexico much more often, man, we had some choppy water, a lot of high wind gusts. We had a couple of really good beach days, but there was several days where we had highs in the low 70s, but wind gusts were over 30 miles per hour. It makes it feel much colder. But there was actually at least one day that I know of that the city of Gulf Shores actually shut down the water because it was just too choppy. You had too much of a rip current, and the folks were a little concerned about undertow. So we didn't see any, police or anything that, patrol that was coming off down our way. But I follow the Gulf Shores city on social medias, and I saw that they had shut down the water. And they basically called for red flags most of the days we were down there. So we were kind of skittish a little bit on letting our kids, go too deep. We wanted to make sure they were still having a good time. But, even the most experienced swimmers can run into problems when you have some pretty strong undertow and some of those strong rip currents. So, but what also I wanted to bring up and what we'll talk about is they had some severe weather down our way last week. Of course, the headline was what happened in New Orleans with the tornado there, and unfortunately one fatality within the city of New Orleans. But there were several other tornadoes that touched down. There's a couple around us in southern Alabama. But looking ahead, they may be in for another round, maybe even a more significant round coming up for Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. That'd be the 29th and 30th. So I want to spend some time talking about what happened last week down in the Gulf and what they're going to look forward to here this week in terms of severe weather. Plus, we're kind of on the northern edge of a severe weather threat here for Wednesday here in parts of Indiana. So we'll talk about that. That's coming up next here on Weather Weekly.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
All right, it is episode number 61. Thanks for staying with us here. This will be another abbreviated short episode here. Next week, just to give you a quick preview, we will be entering the month of April. So as we typically do at the beginning of the month, barring any special podcasts that we'd have to do weather related, we'll be doing our April preview, which I would venture to guess is going to have a whole lot of severe weather aspects to it. So stay tuned for that. That will be next week here on Weather Weekly as we gear up for the month of April. So I wanted to briefly talk about quickly what happened last week with the severe weather and just my experience. Let's see, this would have been on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Mainly Tuesday night is when we had the issues with severe storms. We ended up getting, I believe, 2 tornado warnings later in the evening around the Gulf Shores area. So that's Baldwin County, Alabama, which is, by the way, a very large county. I mean, it encompasses that whole inlet that covers Gulf Shores down to Fort Morgan, but then it stretches north to include Foley and some other towns. I think if you're leaving from Gulf Shores, which is right on the Gulf, and you go straight north, try to get to I-65, which is also still in Baldwin County, it takes you well over an hour and a half to get to that point. So it shows you kind of how big that county is. We've had a few tornadoes for the month of March now. We're starting to ramp things up. I'm just looking at the statistics for this year. Interestingly enough, number of tornadoes for January, 48, 16 in February, and we're up to 166 reported preliminary tornadoes for the month of March. If that holds, now I know we have a couple more days left, but if that holds, that'd be down about 30 tornadoes from last year, but well up from 2020 and 2019 as well. The 3-year average is 127. Now, this is nationally speaking, but it does include some of the tornadoes that happened on... Okay, so I'm looking back at the storm report. So this would have been on Tuesday. Majority of the tornado reports, and there were 53 total tornado reports that came in. A majority of those were in central and east central Mississippi. There were several, though, that were in Alabama. Of course, the one that obviously got the most coverage was the New Orleans one. This would have been in Jefferson County, Louisiana. This was rated as an EF3 tornado. Tracked 11 and a half miles, ending 3 miles southwest of East New Orleans. And that was 7:38 Central Daylight Time. And that, if you saw images of it, it was a very large tornado. It was rated an EF3. A lot of the other ones were rated fairly low. I know that there was a couple that touched down, actually not close to from where we stayed in Gulf Shores, and then just north in the other parts of Baldwin County, so east of Mobile. there was a reported touchdown there, but I believe that was fairly weak. I did not see any damage reports out of that. So that's good news there. Not good news, with what happened in New Orleans. Also not good news is what we're looking ahead, because the same areas are kind of under the gun on Wednesday of this week. So that would be the 30th. The day 2 outlook for Tuesday, which would be the 29th, does have a slight risk, basically stretching from Omaha to Oklahoma City to southwest of Dallas. The tornado area is about a 5% chance through Oklahoma City to Dallas. Wind and hail look like they're probably going to be the more higher of the concerns for Tuesday. Now, for Wednesday, there is an enhanced risk. It includes Jackson, Mississippi, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Monroe, Louisiana, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Alexandria, Louisiana. The slight risk is Memphis, New Orleans, Birmingham, Baton Rouge, and Montgomery. And then there's also a marginal risk. That's Nashville, Atlanta, St. Louis, Louisville, Columbus, Georgia. You can actually include Evansville into that as well. The probabilistic here, and they don't break it down into, when you're in day 3, they won't break it down to hail, wind, tornado. They just kind of give you a generalized area, but they do have a 30% risk in that enhanced area. So that would, again, include parts of Louisiana, most of Mississippi, western Alabama. But it is also important to note that they have what we call a hatched area. Hatched area means 10% chance or greater probability of significant severe weather within 25 miles of a point. So significant severe weather basically would indicate strong tornadoes, stronger than just the severe thunderstorm wind gust threshold. That's what they mean by significant. They don't get into a specifics there, but that's kind of what they break it down with in terms of what significant severe means. So again, that's Jackson, Mississippi, Monroe, Louisiana, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Alexandria, Louisiana, and Meridian, Mississippi. Now, something to keep in mind is this is not unheard of this time of year. This is basically severe weather season for those Gulf Coast states. This happens frequently. I remember going down to Gulf Shores last year, and I think we were maybe a week or 2 weeks removed from several tornadoes touching down around the Birmingham area, and we actually saw the damage path just south of Birmingham. So they've got all the recipes here that's going to be going through. You got a real wound up low that's going to be racing through the plains. You've got a lot of deep Gulf moisture that's going to be feeding in from the Gulf and coming into some of those Gulf Coast states. And you've got a very strong cold front that's going to be kind of zipping through here. And so all three of those combinations is going to lead to that severe weather threat. In terms of our severe weather, it's very marginal here as we gear up for our Wednesday. We are going to be in the warm sector. Ironically, we boost up close to 70 degrees. And it's going to be really, really windy, but I just don't think we're going to have a lot of those dynamics that you would need for severe weather threat here in central Indiana. Southwestern Indiana, there could be some gusty wind potential. And there could be a couple of rotating storms as well, so something to watch for. And we'll see if that expands north a little bit. I do think there's going to be some convection. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see the severe weather threat maybe expand north a little bit. But obviously the bullseye is going to be down toward the deep south. But it's a good reminder to kind of stay on guard and make sure you're paying attention to the forecast as we are starting to enter the beginnings of the severe weather season. April, May, June. That is prime time for us here in central Indiana. Coming up, we're going to talk about the last week of March forecast. We'll take a look ahead to the month of April as well. That's coming up next here on Weather Weekly. All right, here's a look at your forecast for the last week of March, and we're entering into the month of April, and overall, with the exception of basically one day, we're talking about below average temperatures, and in some cases, well below average temperatures. We're starting the week off, obviously, into the mid-40s. Wednesday, we do surge up to the low 70s. There could be some areas close to 80 down in southern Indiana. And that just goes to show the strong southerly pull that we're going to start getting as we head into Wednesday as a warm front moves north. But again, that's short-lived. It will be very windy. And we'll also have the threat of thunderstorms coming our way for the afternoon and evening hours. That is a cold front that will, again, bring our temperatures back down to well below average status. By Thursday and Friday, we're hovering around 50 degrees. Maybe a few spotty showers for Thursday. Friday, I wouldn't even rule out maybe a few flurries to wrap up the work week. Should bounce back to the mid and upper 50s for the weekend and opening at least the new work week with numbers into the upper 50s. And a lot of kiddos are going to be going back to school after some spring break stretches here. The 8 to 14 day outlook, though, isn't much better. This would be valid from April 4th through the 10th. And it is looking at below average temperatures with near normal precipitation. The April outlook is out, and it looks like a decent shot of above average temperatures and above average precipitation. So, this script has to flip at some point. But unfortunately, it does not look like we're going to see that trend here, at least for the next week to week and a half. So we either stay kind of at or below normal for the most part. Again, when we talk about these outlooks, it doesn't mean each and every day is going to be whatever we categorize, but the majority of the days would be. Case in point, we could say this forecast is below average, but Wednesday is going to be up to 70, right? So that's kind of the outside looking in aspect of it. And certainly we're probably going to see our fair share of that as well over the next week or two before we hopefully will start kind of trending upward as we typically do late April and heading into May as well. That'll do it for the podcast, episode number 61 in the books. Good to be back and with you here as we now get ready for severe weather season and the spring season. I'm excited for it. Baseball season is coming around the corner. My boys are getting ready to play, and so I'm coaching this year, and I'm ready for some warmer weather. It just unfortunately doesn't look like we're going to be dealing with it this week, but it will be here soon enough. It'll be here soon enough. I'm ready to go out to the golf course as well, so something to look forward to over the coming months. And before you know it, we'll all be complaining about how hot we are, right? And that's what we typically do here in Central Indiana. Appreciate you guys taking time to listen to the podcast for today and this week. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can email me anytime, marcus.bailey@wishtv.com. You can also reach me on social media at Marcus Bailey on Twitter and Marcus Bailey Weather on Facebook and Instagram as well. You can check out some of the cool beach photos that I took while I was down in Gulf Shores while you're visiting the social media pages as well. But I'd love to hear your feedback, what you'd like to hear on the podcast next, or if you have any good guests that you'd like me to interview, we'll likely do that as well. So make sure you shoot me an email or hit me up on social media as well. While you're here, make sure you check out all the other great podcasts, all part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Have a great week.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.